back to the English Prime Podcast. I'm Erin and I'm Evan.
Hey, everyone.
So, you wake up at 5 a.m., you drink some, intricately layered green smoothie, you run a half marathon in the pitch dark, take a freezing ice bath, and somehow manage to journal your entire life story before the sun even comes up.
Yeah, just a standard Tuesday, right?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we are just constantly bombarded with this cultural narrative that if you conquer the morning, you conquer your entire life. It really feels like every time you open a social media feed, there's someone yelling at you to just grind harder at the crack of dawn.
Oh, absolutely. It is a massive industry at this point.
Right.
The whole ecosystem relies on this premise that raw, unadulterated willpower in the morning is the singular key to unlocking peak productivity. But when we started analyzing the sources for today's deep dive, looking through all these behavioral psychology studies, the research on habit formation and circadian biology, we found this fascinating blind spot in that entire philosophy.
A huge blind spot.
Yeah. We are obsessing over the starting line, but completely ignoring the fact that the race actually begins during the warm-up.
Exactly. And the warm-up being the night before.
Yes.
Which is really the mission of our deep dive today.
Hmm.
We are taking this absolute mountain of research on routines and mindset, and we're filtering it down for you to the essential truth, which is the secret to a highly successful, productive morning doesn't start when your alarm goes off.
No, it really doesn't.
It's entirely dependent on how you close out the previous day.
Yeah, so we are going to explore a framework that the research points to, which is called the digital sunset.
The digital sunset, I love that term.
Right. It's about understanding how designing a thoughtful, deliberate night routine creates physical and psychological boundaries for you.
Mm-hmm.
It protects your cognitive energy, it allows your nervous system to genuinely decompress, and it sets a solid biological baseline for the next day. Because, I mean, you simply cannot expect to have a powerful, focused morning if your evening is just this chaotic slide into exhaustion while you're staring at a glowing screen.
Oh, for sure. So to figure out how to fix this for you, the listener, we first have to look at why our evenings fall apart so easily in the first place.
Yeah, that's the root of it.
Because I know I have these grand plans. I leave work thinking, tonight I'm going to read a chapter of that new book. I'll do some light stretching, maybe prep a really healthy lunch for tomorrow.
The ideal evening.
Right. And then suddenly it's midnight, my neck hurts, and I've spent 3 hours watching videos of people power washing driveways on my phone.
Yep, it is a profoundly universal experience.
Mm.
And the literature points to a very specific biological mechanism for this, which is decision fatigue leading to willpower depletion.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. So we often treat willpower as if it were a personality trait, like you either have it or you don't. You're either a disciplined person or a lazy person.
Right, which is just a guilt trip.
Exactly. But neurobiology shows us it acts much more like a finite metabolic resource. Every single time you make a choice during the day, your prefrontal cortex burns energy.
And we are making thousands of those micro choices before noon.
Thousands.
Like you hit snooze or you get up, you choose an outfit, you navigate awful traffic.
Yep.
You try to figure out the perfectly polite but firm tone for some stressful work email. You decide what to eat for lunch. By the time you get home, your prefrontal cortex has basically been running a marathon.
It really has.
Yeah.
Because the prefrontal cortex is responsible for your high-level executive functions.
Okay.
And that includes impulse control and delaying gratification. So by the time 8.0 or 9.000 p.m. rolls around, that tank is just bone dry.
Completely empty.
Yeah, you are experiencing severe decision fatigue. And when that happens, your brain naturally seeks the path of least resistance to get a quick hit of dopamine.
Which makes total sense.
Right. And that makes you incredibly vulnerable to what the researchers in our sources term the time thieves.
Oh, the time thieves, the algorithms,
Yeah.
the endless scrolling, the doom scrolling, jumping from one app to another without even consciously processing the information you're absorbing. Yeah. It feels exactly like a smartphone battery to me.
That's a great way to think about it.
Like by 9:00 p.m., my internal battery is sitting at 1%, and the screen is literally dimming. I can't be expected to fight off the entire internet on 1% battery.
That analogy actually holds up perfectly under the psychological models we reviewed. I mean, you wouldn't try to download a massive operating system update on your phone when it's at 1% battery. Right?
It would just crash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yet we expect our depleted brains to fend off platforms that have been engineered by thousands of the smartest people on Earth specifically to hijack our attention.
It's so unfair when you put it like that.
It is. You are asking a depleted system to perform heavy lifting. It fails, and the result is that you pour your valuable free time straight down the drain.
And it's the illusion of relaxation, too.
Oh, say more about that.
Well, you are physically lying on the couch, right? So you tell yourself you are resting. But mentally, your brain is processing outrage-inducing news, you're comparing your life to highly curated photos, and you're just absorbing this endless stream of novel stimuli.
Yes, exactly.
So you end up feeling restless and agitated instead of actually content. The mental clutter just builds up and up.
Which leaves you waking up the next morning already carrying yesterday's cognitive load.
Oof. Yeah.
So, if we accept the science that we absolutely cannot rely on willpower at 9:00 p.m. to stop this cycle, we have to look for an alternative mechanism.
Right. We have to bypass willpower entirely.
Precisely.
We have to rely on environment design, because if the battery is dead, the physical environment has to force the behavior.
Exactly. And that brings us to the first major pillar in the source material, which is the 9:00 p.m. digital sunset.
Okay, let's get into the mechanics of this. What does the digital sunset actually look like?
So the digital sunset is essentially a master class in behavioral architecture. It requires two very specific physical actions. First, you intentionally dim the overhead lights in your living space. Maybe switch to a few warm lamps instead of the harsh ceiling lights.
Mood lighting.
Got it. Right. And second, you take all of your electronics, so your phone, your laptop, your tablet, and you plug them in to charge in a completely different room.
Not face down on the coffee table.
No, absolutely not. In the kitchen or a home office, somewhere else entirely.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
You're using your own end-of-day laziness to your advantage, really. Because if the phone is charging in the kitchen and I'm settling into the couch in the living room, that 1% battery of willpower I have left is usually not quite enough to motivate me to get up, walk down the cool hallway, and go retrieve it.
Right. The friction is just too high at that point.
Yeah, making the bad habit annoying to do.
You are intentionally introducing friction, yes. But the biological component of the digital sunset is equally important here.
Okay, the biology side.
Yeah. Dimming the lights isn't just about setting a cozy mood. It acts as a physical evolutionary signal to your brain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, for hundreds of thousands of years, our bodies relied on the setting of the sun to trigger the release of melatonin.
The sleep hormone.
Right, the hormone that prepares the entire body for rest.
So when we stare at a bright blue light emitting phone screen at 10:30 p.m., we are essentially tricking our pineal gland into thinking it is solar noon.
That is exactly what's happening. The brain halts melatonin production because it thinks, well, the sun is high in the sky, we need to be alert, we need to be hunting for food.
Wow. So the circadian disruption is massive.
It's huge. So the digital sunset isn't just some trendy sleep hack you see online. It is a realignment with your fundamental biology. Lower light and remove screens set a hard boundary that protects your physiological peace.
Okay, but I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Because I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone trying this tonight. The laptop is closed, the phone is in the kitchen, the lamps are low.
Setting the scene.
Right. And suddenly, the house is very, very quiet. Without the distraction of a podcast playing or a video in the background, aren't I just going to sit there in the dark, staring at the wall?
That's a very common fear.
Like, the sudden boredom sounds deeply uncomfortable to me. What are you actually supposed to do?
Well, you're right. It will feel incredibly uncomfortable at first. We are completely unaccustomed to not being entertained every second of our waking lives.
Yeah, we really are.
But the behavioral psychologists we looked at emphasized that this discomfort, this intentional silence, is a feature, not a bug of the routine.
A feature, meaning the discomfort is actually doing something productive for us.
Yes. Think about it. All day long, your brain is bombarded with the noise of the external world. Other people's opinions, news alerts, urgent emails, constant visual stimulation.
It's nonstop.
Your brain never gets a chance to categorize or process any of it. So when you finally remove that noise, the silence allows you to actually hear your own inner voice.
Oh, wow.
You are finally making room for your own thoughts to settle. That quiet, slightly uncomfortable space is the absolute prerequisite for the next step of the evening protocol.
Because once the digital noise is cleared out, the focus has to shift inward to your mindset.
Exactly.
You're sitting in the quiet, and now it's time for mental clarity and reflection before sleep. And the sources highlight a highly specific practice for this exact moment, the gratitude list.
Now, I know the word gratitude can sometimes trigger eye rolls for people.
Oh, totally. It sounds like something printed on an overpriced throw pillow.
Right. but there is rigorous neuroscience backing this up. The sources detail a mechanism in the mammalian brain called the reticular activating system.
Okay.
Usually it's just referred to as the RAS.
The RAS. Okay, that's the filter in the base of the brain, right?
Yes.
The thing that stops us from noticing the physical feeling of our socks all day, or prevents us from being overwhelmed by the hum of the refrigerator in the background.
That is an excellent way to describe it. At any given moment, you are surrounded by millions of pieces of sensory data.
Right.
If your conscious brain tried to process all of it simultaneously, you would completely short circuit.
You just freeze up.
Yeah. So the RAS acts as a bouncer at the door of a very exclusive club. It decides what information gets into your conscious awareness and what gets ignored.
I love that bouncer analogy.
It works so well.
Yeah.
And the most important part is how the bouncer decides who gets in. It filters based on the parameters you train it to look for.
Oh, okay. So to build on the bouncer analogy, if I spend my entire day doom scrolling, reading heated political arguments, and stressing over work deadlines, I'm basically handing my bouncer a VIP list of threats and negativity.
Yes, exactly.
So the RAS says, got it, we are actively looking for negative things. And suddenly it highlights every single tiny annoyance in my life.
It certainly does.
The guy cutting me off in traffic, the coffee being cold, the minor typo in an email, it's all front and center.
Your brain becomes neurologically wired to notice the mental clutter. It's actually a survival mechanism. It thinks it's keeping you safe by pointing out all these threats.
But it's exhausting.
Terribly exhausting.
Yeah.
But when you sit down in that quiet space created by your digital sunset and you write a short physical list of things you are grateful for, you are performing a manual override on that system.
You are handing the bouncer a brand new VIP list.
You are reprogramming your mindset to notice small joys.
Like what?
The feeling of a warm blanket, a quick laugh you shared with a coworker, the fact that the hot water worked in the shower this morning.
Yeah.
When you force your brain to scan the past 24 hours for positive data points, you begin to retrain the RAS to naturally spot those moments in the future.
It is like checking your inner weather report.
Ooh, I like that.
You're pausing the autopilot to ask yourself, what is the actual climate inside my head right now? By acknowledging your feelings and physically writing down those small moments of gratitude, you are putting down the heavy backpack of the day's stress.
Yes.
You're actively finding contentment rather than just waiting around for it to magically happen to you.
And the physical act of writing is key there too. It engages different neural pathways than just thinking about it in your head. But we should probably address the reality that some days are just objectively difficult.
I was actually just thinking about that because we have all had those days where everything goes catastrophically wrong.
Oh, yeah.
You spill your coffee all over your white shirt. You are late for a massive meeting. Your car gets a flat tire in the pouring rain.
The absolute worst.
Does sitting down in the dim light and writing, "I'm grateful for oxygen," really help? Doesn't that just feel fake and incredibly frustrating?
It's a crucial distinction to make. The literature is very, very clear that this practice is not about toxic positivity.
Okay.
It is not about gaslighting yourself into pretending a terrible day was actually some magical learning experience. If you got a flat tire in the rain, it was a miserable, stressful event, period.
Right. You don't write down, "I am so blessed and grateful that my car broke down in traffic."
Of course not. What the gratitude practice does on a terrible day is it acts as a circuit breaker for the negative spiral.
A circuit breaker.
Yeah. When a day is genuinely bad, our internal monologue tends to spiral downward and generalize. We say things like, "My tire popped," which means I'm always unlucky, my life is a mess, nothing ever goes my way.
I have absolutely said those exact words to myself.
We all have.
Yeah.
But the gratitude list forces your brain to pause that catastrophic momentum. It demands that you find just one small, true seed of calm.
Even if that seed is simply, "I am grateful I have a warm bed to sleep in tonight and this awful day is finally over."
Yes. It stops the momentum. It doesn't erase the bad day, but it refuses to let the bad day be the only thing you take to bed with you.
That is so powerful.
It shifts your nervous system from a sympathetic fight or flight state into a parasympathetic rest and digest state, which is absolutely vital for restorative sleep.
That reframing is just so practical. So, okay, we have designed our environment to stop the time thieves with the digital sunset. We have shifted our mindset and checked our inner weather report, resetting the RAS with the gratitude list.
Yes.
Now, the final step of the night routine transitions us from processing today into setting the practical groundwork for tomorrow's success.
Right. This is where we move from reflection to future-proofing. And we accomplish this through a very quick, highly intentional to-do list for the next day.
And I can already hear people groaning at this.
I know.
Like, a to-do list, groundbreaking advice. But the sources are framing this completely differently than just writing down a massive guilt-inducing list of 100 chores. Right.
Very differently. It is a highly targeted exercise rooted in a psychological concept called the circle of control.
Okay, what does that mean in this context?
Well, think about what happens when you lie in bed trying to sleep. Your brain often becomes this waiting room of worry. You are stressing over macroeconomic trends, an awkward conversation you had 3 years ago, or a massive project due next month.
Oh, yeah. And 90% of the things racing through your mind are things you have absolutely zero control over in that specific moment.
Exactly. You're just spinning your wheels in the dark.
Just burning energy.
And there is a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect at play here.
The Zeigarnik effect.
Yes. The brain is hardwired to remember incomplete or interrupted tasks far better than completed ones.
Oh, wow.
It's actually why a waiter can remember a complex table order perfectly until the bill is paid and then instantly forgets it. Your brain views an unwritten, unfinished task as an open loop. It sees it as a threat it needs to keep reminding you about so you don't forget.
So keeping all of tomorrow's tasks up in your head is like having 50 tabs open on your internet browser.
Yes, perfect analogy.
It is eating up your mental RAM, which causes that massive spike of bedtime anxiety.
The physical act of writing down your top 3 to 5 tasks for the next day closes those loops.
Just 3 to 5 tasks.
Keep it small. It physically separates what you can control from what you can't. You leave that waiting room of worry, and you focus entirely on the actionable steps within your immediate sphere of influence.
It's creating a tiny, manageable plan. You are basically automating tomorrow's decisions tonight.
Exactly.
And that connects perfectly back to our first point about willpower depletion. If you wake up tomorrow and you have to decide what your first task at work is, you are draining tomorrow's battery before you even start working.
Exactly. By writing it down the night before, you bypass that morning decision fatigue entirely. You are preserving your cognitive energy for the complex, meaningful work.
That makes so much sense.
One of the researchers we reviewed provided a wonderful metaphor for this. They said a targeted to-do list acts like headlights in the fog.
Oh, I like that. When you are driving in heavy fog, you don't need to see the entire route all the way to your destination. If you tried to process the whole journey, you'd be paralyzed. You just need to see the next few meters in front of you.
Just enough to move forward safely.
Right. That tiny plan for tomorrow, just the top 3 things, acts as those headlights. It prevents you from waking up and feeling immediately crushed by the weight of the entire week. You only need to focus on those first few illuminated steps.
But, there is a common concern we should definitely address here.
It's that.
Many people worry that writing down work tasks right before bed will actually spike their anxiety because it reminds them of the stress they are actively trying to escape.
I mean, that makes intuitive sense. If I'm trying to wind down, why would I want to think about the massive spreadsheet I have to build tomorrow? Doesn't that just invite the stress back in?
It feels counterintuitive, but neurologically it achieves the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah, it's a process of mental offloading. As we mentioned with the Zeigarnik effect, keeping the task in your working memory takes constant metabolic energy. Getting the task out of your head and onto a physical piece of paper tells your brain it is safe to rest now. The paper is holding the information. We do not need to keep this loop open.
It's literally putting the thoughts down on the nightstand so you don't have to sleep with them.
Beautifully said.
You are outsourcing your memory to a piece of paper. You are giving your brain official permission to clock out for the night.
It is a profound relief for the nervous system.
So when we tie all of these elements together, you can really see why the morning grind culture has it completely backwards.
Completely.
This night routine is just a masterclass in protecting your energy and setting up your future self.
It is.
We start with environment design, the 9:00 p.m. digital sunset. Lights go down, devices leave the room. You break the cycle of the time thieves, you align your biology for melatonin production, and you stop the willpower crash.
Then you move to the internal shift, the gratitude list. You check your inner weather report, you sit in the silence, and you reprogram your RAF to filter for the positive, effectively breaking any negative thought spirals from the day.
And finally, you move to future-proofing the to-do list. You use the circle of control to mentally offload your tasks. closing the cognitive open loops and giving yourself those headlights in the fog so you don't wake up overwhelmed.
It is a beautifully sequenced protocol. Each step builds logically on the completion of the last, moving you from eliminating external distraction to finding internal peace and finally to practical preparation.
And for you listening right now, integrating this is really about recognizing that your morning routine is essentially like the first song on a playlist.
Oh, that's good.
It sets the tone, the rhythm, and the vibe for your entire day. If you start with the chaotic, reactive, stressful song, the rest of the playlist is going to feel jarring.
And you cannot consciously select a good morning song if you haven't wound down properly the night before.
Exactly.
If you fall asleep staring at a screen, you will just wake up in a deficit, reacting defensively to whatever alarm or notification hits you first.
This evening protocol is what guarantees a true, clean, fresh start the next day. It requires far less agonizing effort than trying to force yourself to be a morning person through sheer grit, 3 snoozed alarms, and a massive pot of coffee.
Because you are finally working with your neurobiology and your circadian rhythms rather than constantly fighting against them.
So true. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the sources, I want to leave you with this thought to mull over. We spend so much of our culture's time obsessed with how to wake up earlier, how to grind harder, and how to conquer the morning.
They really do.
But what if the ultimate secret to changing your entire life isn't found in the morning at all? What if the absolute most productive thing you can possibly do for your future is to learn how to successfully go to sleep?